He says Sherry asked him if beer with the boobs is on tonight. I'm not sure what that means.
Is she calling us boobs?
Beer with the boobs? Maybe she is calling us boobs. That could very well be what she means. Brian, is that the case?
Well, she has met us.
This is true. This is true. Yes, you guys are the boobs. There you go.
Maple syrup dripping from his fake robe. Who did he see when he heard who was there? Now it seems that
All right, everybody, welcome out to the Log Room, guys. It is Tuesday. That's the day, right? Tuesday? Yeah, I think so. Tuesday, June 8th, 2021. Jersey Johnny coming at you. With me, as always, is Mr. Beer Samurai. Well, I wasn't done introducing you yet, you pain in the ass. Just eat.
You asked a question. I couldn't answer it.
Oh, there you go. Wow. Well, I wasn't actually asking you. It was kind of just rhetorical.
It was rhetorical?
It was rhetorical, yeah. There you go. It is June 8th, right?
Where did the H come in from in rhetorical?
I don't know. It's just a bunch of rhetoric, as far as I know.
Rhetorical.
Rhetoric is rhetorical, right?
Rhetoric is rhetorical.
There you go. How are you tonight, sir?
Oh, doing swell. Drying out.
How is your you drying out from what? Why don't you tell us what you're drying out from?
Well, a good bunch of our listener base is in New Jersey, so we all went through that massive storm. John, you got hail, right?
We got hail. I got it was like almost penny-sized hail.
You got the hail. I got the high water.
There you go.
And
hail and high water, yeah.
Yep. I live in a basement apartment, so that's not a good place to live in when the floodwaters are blowing manhole covers off the street.
That's ridiculous. Those things things don't weigh 10 pounds either. They're pretty damn heavy.
Yeah, they're not made out of aluminum.
No, they are not. No, they are not. So, well, anyway, other than the water, how the hell are you today?
Doing well. Happy National Jelly-Filled Donut Day.
Happy National Jelly-Filled Donut Day. Is that what you're eating?
Actually, no, because I'm trying to eat healthier. So this is actually a apple fig bar.
There you go.
That's as close as I'm going to get to a jelly-filled donut today.
I came close to going out and grabbing one for the show, but I'm like, no, I can't do this anymore. I have to.
No, we're getting too old for this crap.
We're getting too old for this crap.
And the thing is, we want to eat like that. We got to give up beer, and then not giving.
That's
up
not
beer.
happening.
So, no, not happening.
So
not
anyway,
happening.
It's also Pick Your Poison Day.
Ooh, what's your poison?
What's my poison? Right now, before I open my beer, my poison is Poland Spring water. So, I mean, I'm really hitting the hard stuff tonight.
Well, if you drink too much water, it is poisonous.
This is true. This is true. Well, if you separate the hydrogen and the oxygen, I suppose. So, what's your poison tonight?
My poison night's going to be, I'm going to go with a Maine beer company, Wolf's Neck India Pale Ale. I am not, it's not focusing on this, is it?
It's close enough. It's there's not much on a main label to focus on.
No, but they've got the Wolf's Neck on the label. It's one of the few. It's one of the few.
It's just line
art.
What
they do that actually has image on it.
Right.
So I'm going to pour it on Berkshire glass.
Gotcha. Well, seeing as you're already pouring your beer and we actually didn't get to that yet, but that's okay. I know you're thirsty.
I need a beer.
It's also primary election day. That's my re-elect Goldie Wilson, mayor. Shirt. So
yeah, I don't vote in
if any of you that do vote in the primary, if congratulations, you voted today. So there you go. Anyway, why don't we bring on our guest? Why don't we do that? What do you think?
That's right. We have a guest tonight.
We have a guest tonight. What do you think?
That was up in the air for a bit, wasn't it?
No, it really wasn't. We're good. He's there.
Okay.
All
Is he there?
Coming to us live from Massachusetts tonight is the beer beast himself, Mr. Pat Fondiller. There he is, right there.
Hello, sir.
How are you, sir?
Good. I got on the bottom. Scary looking.
Mr. Salesman Extraordinaire from Alewife Brewing. We're going to get into a lot of that tonight. We'll talk about all of that. So let's throw your beer up really quick. What are you drinking there, Dave, again? Wolf's Neck?
Yeah, Wolf's Neck, India Pale Ale by Maine Beer Company.
Gotcha.
We're out of Maine.
The Maine Beer Company is out of Maine. It's been realized that it's uncovered that they actually are from Maine. So it's good. That's good. We've got a couple comments actually while that's going.
Already,
yeah. Oh, 4. Look at that. Brian Alt says evening.
Evening, Brian.
And he says his poison. He enjoys arsenic. He says
he enjoys arsenic.
Well,
he likes that little almond thing.
Yeah, exactly. So, James Harris says, real like Goldie Wilson. Nice. Thank you. Very good. And our other producer, Matt Potensky, rhetoric comes from ancient Greek for speaker. There you go. Many speakers do nothing but spew rhetoric, so there you go.
This is true.
This is very true. So it all comes together right there. There you go. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you for the etymology.
Thank you for the etymology. There you go. So I will pour my beer really quick. While I'm doing that,
I'm just enjoying the head I got on this thing. Look at that.
Yeah, I don't want to say it. Never mind. I'm going to be. That is a very nice head. That is very nice. That is very nice. I'm going to be drinking Superscript from Kent Falls Brewing.
Oh, you got something left from up there?
No. It's newer.
You got more.
Yeah, exactly. What I do is I was not able to get any Alewife for myself, so I figured I'd drink beer from Connecticut and a beer from New Jersey. So it's on either side of New York, you know.
And
So I went that way.
and the beer beast just drained whatever he started the show
Exactly. He started the show.
with. You guys go too slow.
Yeah.
What did you just drain there?
What was that you were drinking there, Pat?
I'm drinking this Alewife, the Green Queen double IPA, and
Nice.
really awesome. Azaka, Mateca, and Idaho 7. Hazy double IPA,
Very nice.
8.6%. I'm not by any stretch of the imagination a haze bro, but it was in the fridge, so I'm drinking it.
There you go. That's always a plus. When there's a cold beer in the fridge, you know.
And it
whether
matches
it's-
the shirt you're
as long
wearing.
as long as you don't hate it. Again. And of course, how can you hate it? You sell that beer, right?
No, I love it. It's great.
It's a great beer.
Right. Yeah, it's delicious.
I have not. I would be remiss if I did not say I haven't had as much Alewife as I would have liked to have had by now. But I'm sure eventually, once are they making their way? Are you making your way over to New Jersey?
It's in the plans, not right away. We're selling beer up here in Massachusetts,
That's good.
but we're really selling most of what we're making in New York City.
Sure, of course.
Mostly now because we opened in Sunnyside in the neighborhood that we were in.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Absolutely.
although we have batches coming out weekly, and now we're starting to get a fair amount of beer in the pipeline. So I
That's
might
awesome.
restart those talks. You know, we've talked to people in New Jersey and Florida. So the next places we're thinking about going to.
I was aware of the talks in New Jersey back before that, but yeah, I knew you were doing that. But that's awesome if you can do that, and it's awesome that you got the liquid coming out. Really quick, I'd just be another remiss to mention that it's one of the few times we actually have all three of us on the show, including the guest, are all Mets fans, which is why I wore my cap tonight. What cap are you wearing there, Pat? Look at that, a Mets cap. There you go. First, let me. The first place New York Mets.
That's right.
There you go.
I
There
just
you go.
wear
With
the
a
rest of the
ragtag
people,
Ragtag crew they got, right?
Absolutely.
They're winning
And,
games with guys with 70s on their back, dude.
It's
Which
great.
is pretty
It's
good
great.
when you're doing that.
When you have all these guys playing and they're all 60s and 70s and 80s and they're winning and they're
The
winning.
high
That's
numbers
awesome.
are on the field. Yep.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, this beer, by the way, is really tasty. So, cheers. And this is what I'm drinking right here. Superscript from.
I won't even comment on mine because it's a main beer company.
Yeah. So why do you have to say anything?
You don't need to say anything.
No. All right, so let's get started. Let's dial it back just for a second, like we usually do. What's your earliest craft beer memory? First beer, brewery, whatever. What's your earliest craft beer memory?
I was out in California. I've written about this before, but I was out in California like in the 80s. I had to be like late 80s, and I was sitting in a bar somewhere in San Francisco, and I was drinking a Budweiser, and there was a guy next to me at the bar that was just unmercifully mocking me for drinking a Budweiser.
It wasn't me.
No, it was hilarious because it really got like kind of serious for a minute, and then he asked me to go outside. No, I asked him to go outside
Yeah.
because he pissed me off, and
But not the dance.
and then he came over 5 minutes later and dropped a Sierra Nevada in front of me and said, "Drink this," and it was kind of like an instant epiphany when I drank it. I was like, "Oh yeah, I can see what you're saying," and we became really good friends after that.
That's an awesome story. That's an awesome story.
That's the
great.
early, yeah.
That's great. What first got you into craft beer sales? Yeah. Clearly, you didn't take didn't take a sip of that Sierra Nevada and say, "I got to
Other
sell
than
beer."
needed a job.
Yeah, well, yeah.
No, I mean, I was working at the Gate in Brooklyn for years and years.
Sure.
I think I worked there for 12 years, and just kind of like learned all about it. And then, I became friends with a lot of people in the industry doing sales. Sure. And then I when Ruby, my daughter, was born, I decided that I needed to get out of the bar business and get a more like kind of normal job. It just so happened that like I made a list of breweries that I wanted to work for, that were like kind of hot at the time, and I passed it along to Mike Lavulo at Union Beer, and Smutty was actually my number one choice at the time, and he was like, "You're never gonna believe this, but Briggsy just quit."
Oh, geez.
And it was just like perfect timing. So
timing is everything, that's for sure.
Exactly. And that a couple days later, I think Dave Yarrington was at the Blind Tiger, which was affiliated with the bar that I worked with, and I met up with him and we hit it off. And then I interviewed with Kevin and Peter a couple of months later and got hired.
That's awesome.
Started off doing street sales in New York City, and then worked my way up to the top.
You basically what? You sold like about half the United States, at one point, maybe not half.
I mean, toward the end,
a quarter of it, yeah.
Yeah, no, I was everywhere that we sold beer at the end. Things got kind of weird towards the end there when I mean, there were a lot of reasons for it, but
sure.
To make a long story short, Smutty was eventually repossessed by the bank and sold at auction, and I left right before that happened. At Peter Eggleson's urging, like he basically kicked me out the door, kicking and screaming.
Like get your ass out of here now.
He wouldn't let me go down with the ship.
Gotcha.
So,
gotcha. But yeah, you were there for a while. I mean, this is Dave. I mean, for a while, people would say, hey, do you know Pat Fondiller? No. Do you know Smutty Pat? Oh yeah,
Yeah,
he was Smutty Pat. There you go. So.
I mean, we did some, we had some epic times down there at AC Beer Fest.
That's for sure.
In the state of Jersey.
Oh yeah. That is for damn sure.
Which just wrapped up this past weekend, right?
Yeah.
I know, dude. Believe me, it's always on my mind. And it just wasn't in the cards this year, but I'm hoping that next year we're going to be there.
Oh yeah, yeah. I couldn't get there myself this year either, and I said it to John too. I said this is going to be the first one of all of his of all the AC Beer Fests that I haven't attended. So that sucked. But from what I hear, it was a blast. They had a good time. It went well, and we're looking forward to next year too. So
yeah, I saw a lot of video from of the musical acts and stuff. It looked cool.
Yeah, it did. The way they set it up, it was pretty good on Baderfield there.
I mean, that dude's the master of the beer fest. That's my favorite beer fest by far.
Yeah, it's the second biggest beer fest in the country after GABF. So, but it's awesome. It really is. There's nothing really like it too, because GABF is great. Don't get me wrong. It's the best, but it's there's no music. You don't get any of that stuff. So,
but also the quality of the music that he gets, like that pop punk aesthetic, is really good. As you know, we always brought a crew down from the Bronx and Brooklyn. Oh yeah, and did the kind of hip hop, old school rap thing. We had a bunch of hype guys and a bunch of really awesome DJs, and it was fun.
Absolutely. You didn't, Dave. You missed it. Dave professes, and he said it to John on the show when we had John on the show, that he has not yet been to an Atlantic City Beer Music Festival. But
oh my God,
you don't know what you were missing. But I mean, because the Smutty Nose booth and afterwards, every year was music coming out of it. Was a DJ booth as well as a beer booth. So that was awesome times. Awesome times.
I do have to point out, this is a first for us. We've got someone on the show in their front yard.
That's true.
We've had two backyard guests.
We've had two backyard guests, Augie Carton and I won't say it again, and Scott Wells.
Yeah, I just saw Augie the other day. Came out.
Oh God, there's two. Don't say his name again. He may appear on the show. It's like Beetlejuice. You can't.
It's a running joke. You say his name 3 times and then he pops up on the show.
And it's already been said twice. Do not go to thrice.
So, but in any event, all right.
Actually, in my dad's front yard, and if you look behind me, you can see I'm right on the Annisquam River.
Oh, nice.
Which is gorgeous.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Makes Cape Ann into an island. Yeah.
That is awesome.
Oh, nice.
All right, what's your before we get into Alewife, I want to talk a lot about Alewife, but I just want to ask you a question. What's your favorite part about craft beer sales? About selling craft beer? What's your favorite part of that whole process, the whole job?
Just selling beer, dude. Getting it just, I don't know, man. I get a thrill out of it.
Sure. I mean,
I call somebody up and I'm trying to sell them something and they say yes, and I'm just like, that's
there you
awesome.
go. There you go.
And it's just, and I when I was growing up, I would never ever in a million years thought I would be a salesman, but I found a product that I like,
Sure. Oh yeah, look, when you find something that you actually can get behind and you like and you enjoy and you're married to it, so to speak, it's easy to sell. You don't have to be a salesman to sell it. Then it's coming from the heart at that point. So it's not work. It's not a job. It's not like you're sitting there trying to sell. Oh, these refrigerators are better than those refrigerators, and let me show you. That's not the case. It's totally different. Two different. It's apples and oranges. But
yeah, and I mean John, to take it to the next level too. When you're sitting with somebody and they're really not buying what you're selling, and then you're able to sell them something anyway, that's kind of the pinnacle of everything. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, dear.
No, that's fine. I was just going to say, and with John's agreements, I think we already know the answer. Because John, you were also a salesman.
I have been
quite a few breweries.
Yep, I did.
And
as
so
well.
You do realize that any question you ask Pat, I'm just going to bounce right back to you. Get your opinion as well.
What's the favorite part? I concur with what Pat said. What Pat said about sales. And getting somebody, you walk in and you could tell within a minute or two that they are going to buy or they're not going to buy. But I love it when they're not going to buy, because I'm going to stand there for about 10, 15 minutes and I'm going to make them buy. And it's not because I'm going to trick them, and I'm not going to be a used car salesman, and I'm not going to do any of these tricks or anything else, but I'm going to talk to them about the beer, and I'm going to get them to taste it, and I'm going to get them to realize why they need to put this beer on tap.
And hold your breath until they say yes.
And then stamp up and down. Exactly right. But one other thing that I actually do love is running into other salesmen and talking shop while out doing sales. Like, for instance, I'll give you a for instance. Pat mentioned before the Blind Tiger. I pulled up, parked on the side street, and I was going to go out. That was going to be my home base for sales in the West Village at one point. And as I pull up, I park in the car, and I'm about to go to the Muni meter to pay it. And I noticed that there was this Volkswagen in front of me with this little sticker that looked like an A and a W on the sticker. And I'm like, could it be? And sure enough, I walked into Alewife, and there was the man right there. Mr. Fondiller right there. So about 45 minutes later, the two of us walked out of there and continued with our sales day. But, I
remember that.
Yeah, meeting up, intentionally or unintentionally, meeting up and talking shop, having a couple of beers and comparing notes, so to speak. Hey, you going to go by this guy today? Oh, crap, I wasn't going to go by. He's there today. Oh, I'll get over there. That kind of a thing. Any of that. Yeah. Just the times and stuff like that. That's pretty cool as well. So,
despite the battle for tap room,
it's co-opetition. It's not, because one thing's going to kick and they're going to put something else on. It doesn't matter. We're not fighting for the same line. There's, especially in a bar like that.
It's not,
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but
all right, can I ask another question
of
the sales guys?
Go for it.
So crazy. So when you guys go into a bar and you go and you're going in there to sell, it's a bar. There are some crazy shit happens in bars. What is your craziest sales story that you've come across while you were trying to sell in a bar?
Pat?
I don't know.
You've sold in more territories than me, so you go first.
Yeah, but John, you left knowingly, which means your answer is ready already.
Maybe. Maybe there's a couple, and I want to pick between the two.
I don't know if I've ever had really like all that many like bananas like sales experiences, but we've definitely done, like crazy promos.
Mm-hmm.
I was just thinking before when you were talking about I had an account in Brooklyn that was like this epic like bar. It was kind of honky tonk out Red Hook, and they didn't carry craft beer. And I went in that bar twice a week for 5 years and finally broke the guy down.
Mhm.
After 5 years, he called me on the phone. I almost fell out of my chair. Another time, on the opposite end of the spectrum, like walked into a supermarket like down in Ohio somewhere and asked the guy, where am I dropping the pallet of pumpkin out? And he was like, right where you're standing. It was like about 80 cases.
80 cases right where you were. That was the floor stack right there.
Exactly.
Gotta love it. Me, I'll give you two. I'll give you two on the opposite ends. Okay. I also managed for some of you out there that do know this. I also, on the other side of things, I managed a bar and the beer manager for a couple of bars, and one of them in particular. And Pat, of course, sold me beer there as well. But whatchamacallit, the one was I had one day had two guys come in at the same time, and they knew each other, and we all knew each other, and they brought in a couple of beers and each to taste, and I just happened to have a couple with me at the same time that I just got back from a trip or whatever. So the tastings for these two guys turned into a mini bottle share. So about 2.5 hours later, we were done tasting beer for it. So that was pretty interesting. But I think the coolest thing sales-wise that ever happened in a bar was one particular bar. I won't mention where. It was in New Jersey, but I was selling a beer from a brewery, and one of their staple beers, one of their flagship beers, was an amber lager, a really tasty amber lager. And I brought it in. They first brought it in. The first time they brought it in, this bar, we tapped it on a Friday, and I just happened to bring them down tap handles the day they tapped it, and they put it on while I was there. And I says, I'll get one. I'll buy the first one from you, whatever. And it was 1:30, 1:45 in the afternoon on a Friday. There wasn't many people in there, and it was two guys sitting at the bar on the other end. And I asked the bartender, I says, what are they drinking down there? And she says, you're never going to get them to drink this. They're drinking Yingling. I says, perfect. I will buy them two beers, a beer each. If they don't like it, they can dump it because they're not paying for it. She says, all right. She walked over 2 beers, and I walked over and I talked to them with mine, and I told them about the beer. And they tasted it, and they're like, okay. And I thought maybe they were just, patronizing me. Okay, yeah, it's good. Yeah, okay, fine, that kind of thing. And I finished my beer, and I left. Went back the following week. Those 2 guys are sitting there, and I see them drinking the amber lager. And I asked her, she says, they have drank nothing for 3 years but Yingling. They have drank nothing in the last week except your amber lager. She said,
there you go.
That was awesome. So there you go. That's my story.
Just reminded me of a story that I'll throw in really quick. I was in Chicago one time at the Hop Leaf, waiting for Michael to come out so I could sell him some beer. And there was this gentleman sitting next to me. Too. And I started chatting with him. And I talked to this guy for literally an hour and a half before I figured out that it was John from Cantillon.
Jeez, really? Oh, my God.
And he was the most awesome, down to earth dude ever. And we were both waiting on the same thing. And, it was pretty crazy.
That's awesome.
Oh, he's got to sell his product.
I mean, really. I mean, an email would have sufficed with that. How much do you want?
Show up with a Fixtel. Hey, you got a room for this?
Do they keg beer at Cantillon?
I'm pretty certain they do.
I'm sure they do. Yeah. I was being sarcastic.
Yeah, Doniger does that Swansea Day every year.
I had
Swansea,
I forget which one it was. Oh, Rosegar Marinas had it down at Green Bench's Fooder for Thought.
Sure.
They had a keg of that there.
We've been to a bunch of them at, of course, our favorite, when I say our, I mean mine and Dave's favorite bar in Brooklyn, which would be Spite and Dival, Swansea Day.
Oh, yeah.
Over there. Such good. But anyway, so get back.
I've got another question.
Oh, you've got another question up. Okay.
You know this question.
No, go ahead. Go for it.
Because John and I have gone back and forth because we pick our top 3s, and we're, John was talking about, you guys were talking about doing something sales related, but I've never been in sales.
Right.
I'm an awful salesperson. One of the main reasons I'm too damn honest sometimes. But
I'm honest. That's honest.
What are you trying to say, dude?
What are you trying to say?
I guess it's just the product.
We don't lie about our product.
There were some that I had to. Any rate, but so one of the top threes were being bandied about. I couldn't really participate in,
Right.
but it's something I still want to hear from you guys.
Okay.
And it can be as ridiculous as you want it to be. It doesn't have to be a real place. It could be region, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Dream account. Where would you most walk away from selling your beer at and going, yes,
Okay.
I've got a beer in there?
I mean, that's happened many times already, I think.
Oh, yeah?
But if I can think of,
Think of one that you've not
Well,
conquered
I
yet.
see. I said when he was telling me that before, Pat, I said the same thing to him. I was like, well, you know what? I said a lot of dream accounts would be a lot of the top bars, or at least our favorite bars in New York City, in Brooklyn, whatever. And I've done that, and you've done that, and so forth and so on. So it'd be hard. So my thought to this question was, let's make it one that we have never sold in, but it is a favorite bar. So or place or whatever.
Like one example, when John and I were talking about, how about like the Dalai Lama's palace? How cool would it be to get a beer in there, right? Go nuts with it.
As long as he's going to drink it and not return half the keg.
Yeah, man. I don't know. I gotta tap out on this question. I mean,
I'll-
that would be
I'll
more
give-
like having
I'll
a beer
give-
with somebody. But I've pretty much got my beer in every dream.
I'll give mine,
place that I
and
could ever want.
you've been in a lot. Like I said, you've been in a lot more territories than I have. But I'll give mine, and maybe that'll spark you, or maybe it won't. Whatever, but we'll see. I've never sold beer in Massachusetts. One of my favorite bars in Boston is Bukowski's.
Yeah.
On Dalton Street, just down from Boylston. Whatchamacallit. And that's one of my favorite bars. And anytime I'm in Boston, I'm at Bukowski's at least 2 or 3 times, if not more. So I would love to be able to sell beer to Bukowski's.
Okay, so that's a good approach. But that was part of towards the end of when I was at Smutty, that was all part of the territory. But we never sold beer in, say, California. So I would say Tornado.
There you go.
I hung out with Dave, but I've never sold him beer because I never had beer to sell him in the state.
Right. Exactly. There you go. There's a couple of bars in Denver that I could say the same thing about. But
Right.
But that's where I went with that one. So anyway, any other questions there, Mr. Samurai?
No, I'm done.
You did?
No, I'm done. I'm done with my beer. Done with the questions.
There you go. Let's talk about
I'm
Alewife.
done with my bits. I might have to walk to the fridge.
You're gonna have to get another one.
We'll walk with you.
There you go. Let's talk about Alewife. Whatchamacallit? You actually, yeah. Let's talk about Alewife. Let's go to Alewife. We'll talk about a couple other things afterwards. What first got you involved with Mr. Doniger and the whole Alewife group,
I
if you
met
will?
Pat. He lived out in Bay Ridge in Brooklyn when I worked at the gate, and he was kind of semi-regular at the bar.
Mhm.
So I knew him from then, and then going to a million different beer geek things, and then when I was with Smutty, I'd sell him beer at his 4 bars, which were all just really awesome beer bars, like the
Absolutely.
Jeffrey and Fool's Gold and Alewife and what was the other one? The Rochard, which is still there.
Rochard, yeah.
They're opening again soon. But
That's cool.
hold on one sec. Sorry, guys.
That's all right. Dogs are allowed to bark.
Yeah.
That's what they do well.
Would not be the first dog on the show.
There you go.
Yeah. So I was working for Schmaltz Hebrew at the time. I worked with Jeremy for a minute before he sold his brewery to Single Cut.
Yep.
And I was in there one day trying to sell Pat beer, and he was telling me about that he was opening the brewery and he needed a sales guy.
Sure.
And I said, I want to do it. And he was like, you're hired. And that was it.
And that
Hell
was
of an
it.
interview.
Handshake, done.
Yeah, really.
You're good to go.
I mean, really, it was like that. And then, a couple months later, I went over and we just started trying to sell beer out into the market.
That's,
Which, as you may or may not know, with a brand new brewery is not easy.
no, it is not. No, it is not. Getting beer into market from a brand new brewery is difficult. But see, Pat Doniger had an ace up his sleeve. With not just the fact that people know who he is, but as far as sales go, he had you.
He's also been heavily involved in the scene in New York City, sure. And always like on the upper end of it,
Sure. Oh no, I'm not taking anything away from him. I'm just saying that as far as getting into places, I'm sure there were a few beer managers in certain off-prem locations, stores, and so forth, and everything else that may or may not know him well, at least, but they knew you because you sold them beer before. So,
yeah, I mean, most of those guys I would say probably didn't know him, but yeah, he's definitely he's an asset when you're going into most craft beer bars.
Oh, sure. Oh, yeah. No, absolutely. I agree.
Just because of the reputation of his places. Right.
Exactly. Talk a little bit about what's going on now. The brewery's open. What's up with and there's a restaurant too, so forth. And talk a little bit about that.
Well, it's been kind of a pretty epic trip,
Sure. Well, and the last year didn't help.
Pat got caught up in the DME.
Oh yeah, I remember
saga.
That. Yeah, absolutely.
So that was the first
nightmare.
That was the first kneecap,
mm-hmm.
And then after he got that sorted out, then the COVID thing happened.
Sure. Talk about the DME thing for a minute, in case there's anybody that's listening that doesn't know exactly what that.
So
means.
DME is this huge company in Canada that makes brewing systems, and they were kind of the go-to for all the up and coming new little boutique craft beer places. Mm-hmm. And they had taken deposits from, I think, I'm not sure exactly, so don't but it was over 100 craft breweries. I know for a fact Lord Hobo was one, and there were a bunch of them, and then they took our deposit and they went into receivership. And they did this to a lot of different people. Fortunately, Pat had a really good lawyer that wound up getting him the stuff after negotiating and laying his money out. And that's as much as I know about it. But then
that's enough. It was just it was a disaster. It was a nightmare. So, but and then COVID hit, and that was another part of the roller coaster. So, but then.
Yeah, so when the COVID thing happened, I think maybe they were thinking about closing 51st anyway, which is the original Alewife. I'm not sure. You'd have to ask him. But it wound up pushing it over the edge. And, it was a 2-story building. The rent was high. And, it was just impossible to make money there. So that, the rent was, or the lease was coming up, and Pat decided to close the place up. And we just went all in on 39th Street, which is where we are now in Sunnyside. Mm-hmm. So finished building it out.
Which isn't really too far away either, but
no, it's close by. It's a better location, in my opinion. The other place is kind of out of the way and not really high visibility. This place is right on the corner of the Sunnyside, Astoria, and Long Island City, and you see it's one of the main thoroughfares, actually two of the main thoroughfares through the neighborhoods that were right on the corner there. And we're not fully open yet. We're brewing beer there now as of 2 months ago, full time. So we're no longer working with Torch and Crown. We're 100% making all of our own beer. And I think we still have a stout that we made up there, but other than that, everything that we have in-house, we made ourselves on our own brewery. And then we do, we have a big outdoor area. It's an industrial area. We have the tables that we have for the brew pub when we eventually get it open, but we'll run them out in the daytime because there's nobody there on the weekend. And we can run them from where we are, like basically all the way up to the corner if we can, if we get enough people.
Right.
So that's been good. But the weather is challenging, you know. I mean, weather like this, people don't want to sit out in 90-degree humid weather. They want to
Not
sit in
so
air
much, no.
conditioning.
Yeah, and melt.
Exactly.
For 8 to 10 weeks, we were standing in 20-degree weather in the doorway, you know. So
Right.
that's neither here nor there because we are, you know, we're doing okay basically with what we have. So we're still waiting on a CFO. When we get that, we'll be able to open inside. Sorry, man, these guys are blowing my phone up right now. I should be on my computer.
It's all good. It's all good. No
Oh
worries.
my god, it's like
You're a very
casino
popular
over
guy,
there.
Pat. You're a very popular guy. We all know that already, so it's not news to us. It's fine.
Well, how does one
that's
go
more
about
like
getting Alewife
the
beer?
people I work with are like schoolgirls. They text each other every 5 seconds.
Oh, you gotta love it.
Yeah.
Would you
So
say,
anyway,
Samurai?
we should be open soon, I hope.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That's all Pat's department. You know, basically they make beer, I sell the beer. That's what I do.
Gotcha.
You know.
Gotcha.
So you're selling out of the brewery now?
We are. Yeah, we have. You know, we sell out of the front door. You know, we did deliveries all through the pandemic. Like people would place orders and we deliver them to their houses, all over New York City, Westchester, and Long Island. And then, you know, we have people that place pickup orders. We have accounts that place orders and come pick the beer up. We have accounts I just had an account this weekend come from upstate and pick up a pretty good sizable amount of beer. I mean, you know, from like back in the day, we used to do that too. But if you're unable to get the product and it's legal for you to obtain it, it's always to your advantage to drive down to New York City and pick up breweries that you can't get up there because then you get an advantage over it.
Right.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's the way to do it. Absolutely.
And what about distribution?
We are a self-distro, and we don't have any plans to. I mean, we're working with one company. So here's the skinny. When I was with Smutty, you know, we were pretty heavily in bed with one very large wholesaler in much of the territory we sold beer in.
Which might have been mentioned out of your mouth prior to this, but we'll leave it at that.
Right. But I'm not going to talk. I'm not going to talk bad about them because I like those guys.
Of course, of course.
It wasn't entirely their fault. But after watching like all the work that I did for the brewery to build it up and just watch it fall apart and really be able to do nothing about it, because
your hands were you had
my hands were tied. It really hurt. So now it's really hard to like even consider signing that much power over to somebody.
Right.
You know, because it's weird the way they're like at first. I think when Peter first started signing with wholesalers, the wholesalers would invest a lot of money in the brand and build it up in the market. And then somewhere along the line, like they just stopped doing it because they had too many brands, and it became more of a buyer's market than a seller's market. And you know, they were just like, you know, it just became like migration of the wildebeest, like only the strong survive.
Sure. And COVID didn't help too because of all of the new influx of breweries from other territories that hadn't been in the area before that jumped in because of they have so much package now that they can, you know, spread it around a bit, and there you go.
Yeah, not to say that like they're fully innocent, because they definitely pick their winners and losers, and you know.
Right.
So anyway, we just signed this really not even signed a deal. We're working with a company called Coastal Craft up here in Massachusetts, and the guy that owns the company worked for Blue Point for years and then Budweiser, and he came up here and with his buddy they started their own company, and he called us up because he knew us both. He knew Pat, and he was like, "Look, I'll take your beer on with no contract, and you could just send me what you have that's extra that you can't sell on the market, and we'll negotiate the price every time. And we'll distribute the beer as soon as we get it up here. We'll get it out into stores." And it's been like super refreshing to be able to do this.
Work with that, something like that, yeah.
Yeah, because it's just like, you know, we'll send him like 80 cases and he'll sell it all right away. And then he'll call us up and be like, "What else you got?" And then we'll send him some other stuff. We just sent him an order today because we package new beers. So, as I was saying before, I've been talking to a couple people in other states, Jersey being one of them, and I really want to go into Jersey mostly so that I could go to AC Beer Fest.
John Henderson, are you listening?
I'd sell some beer, but I'm really, really, really uneasy with the contract thing because it's not fair to the breweries.
No,
you sign. It's like a Shylock. Like you sign over and the total control of the future of your company in that state to the wholesaler, and that's just not. You would never do that in any other business.
No, it's not. It's a very unique, and I don't mean that in a good way or a bad way, but just the fact that it's a very unique industry as to how this comes about and what needs to happen in this industry as far as sales go for distribution. But
it's crazy. And meanwhile, with Shane and Coastal Craft, dude, I would run through walls for this dude because of what he's doing for us.
Where in Massachusetts is he distributing? Is it all over Massachusetts or just Boston
it's all
area
over
centric?
Now.
Or?
I think they're based up in they're based in Cape Cod.
Okay,
the southern part of
makes sense.
Cape.
Coastal Craft.
This is the same group that gets
nearby
Bolero,
Falmouth or anything.
Bolero up into Mass. Is that the same distributor?
Yeah, they have several really, really good brands. When
I lived in Mass briefly, I was really surprised to see Bolero on the shelves in one of the beer stores I went into.
There's a few distribution companies in Massachusetts bringing beer from the New Jersey, New York area up into that area. But boutique companies, if you will. But
there's a bunch of different ways to go about it. I know that Equilibrium, they sell their beer all over the place, but they just mail it.
Right.
They get a license to ship to people's houses.
Right.
In each state.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and Trillium's doing the same thing now. I think Trillium's got things with UPS. They've been shipping beer with UPS and to a bunch of different states out of Massachusetts.
Just not here.
Just not New Jersey. No. They've been Pennsylvania's the closest, I believe. So
I'll bring in some Trillium, John. I go down there once a week because I'm up here. I'm a huge fan of their beers. I think they're great.
I used to go to Canton at least twice a month.
Yeah. When you were in Rhode Island. Now you're not.
Rhode Island.
You're in Kearney now. So.
But anyway.
Speaking of Trillium, I'm opening my second beer then.
Nice.
Open your second beer. Go ahead. Open your second beer, and we'll continue the conversation.
Because
you know what happens because there's so many breweries now. It's like if you go with like one of the big wholesalers, it's just like they have giant brands.
They do.
They're beholden to, and that's going to have an effect on your ability to sell beer.
It is. These big, they're beholden to these big brands, and you're going to get lost in the mix. And maybe not completely missing, but you're going to get pushed down in the mix because they have the bigger, huge brands, and we won't mention who they are, and everybody can figure that out. Who it is, but either way, it's a detriment to the smaller brands. So
and that just is what it is. Like I don't hold that against.
Not at all. No. It's business is business, but it behooves smaller brands to go with It behooves smaller brands to go with a smaller boutique, if you will, wholesaler, because they're getting the attention that everybody else is getting the attention of. So, anyway, what's the beer you're drinking there, Mr. Samurai? I'll throw that up on the screen there.
This is the Black is Beautiful. This is Trillium's version.
Trillium's version of Black is Beautiful.
Black is Beautiful, and this is a blended imperial stout, and it's got the Papua New Guinea vanilla beans.
There you go. Very nice.
So, Matt Ziegler, if you're listening, Madagascar, no longer good enough. Papua New
Guinea. It's not the Hoboken vanilla beans, right? We talked about that. No, it's not.
No, not Hoboken.
I'll be drinking. I won't say the name of the brewery because we said it twice already. But it's Twin Outboard Whaler. It's a double dry hop New England Imperial IPA. So I'll be drinking that, and I'll throw that.
I feel the earth shaking underneath it.
A little bit.
No, you can say the brewery, you just can't say his
That's true.
name.
It's Carton Brewing. Yeah.
There you go.
So, but this is a very, very tasty beer by these guys. These guys.
Those guys.
It's Jersey, so it's these guys.
These guys.
Right. So
you got a guy?
I got a guy. You got a guy? You're not. You can have my
I
guy.
got a guy.
I'll show you.
He can't do it. He's got a guy.
I'll introduce you to my guy. There you go.
No. Your guy tried just too much.
Let's talk about Alewife's beers a little bit. What's being brewed? What's the core beers? What's the seasonals? What's going on as far as the actual beer portfolio, if you will, goes?
We were always rolling with 1,000 Stars Pilsner and Death Ego, the IPA. Those were like kind of two. I mean, we don't like calling them core beers, but those were the ones that we were making all the time.
Sure.
When we were working with Torch and Crown. And then, we had a bunch of different brands that we were making, but we're no longer doing that. They're doing all the beers in Sunnyside. So, Keir Hamilton, who's our brewmaster, came from Six Point, who's a distiller from Edinburgh, Scotland. Who came over here. I was working with Widow Jane, and then through one twist of fate, wound up working on the canning line at Six Point and taking over the Mad Scientist. Yeah, exactly. Right.
I've seen that bottle before.
He's technically a brilliant brewer.
Right.
And he's been writing the recipes for a while. We're getting pretty well known for the IPAs that we're making and double IPAs.
Right.
And now they're starting to branch out. But it's amazing, like having complete control over not only your brew schedule, but the actual brews themselves.
Right.
And I can tell you, like, I was actually shocked because I've worked with a lot of breweries that open in new places. That he just came out of the gate, just guns blazing, like full bore. The beers that they made from the minute he started brewing here are way better than the ones we've ever made.
That's awesome. That's
little time to dial in, huh?
I think a lot of that has to do with but they're also paying way more attention to it because it's our beer, and it's just you know how that is.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
A degree here or there, like at a certain time, makes a huge difference in the way the beers come out.
Absolutely does.
Especially the hops.
It's the details that work. Yeah, absolutely. It's the hops. It's the hops. It's the water. It's the yeast.
I meant when it comes to the different degrees.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, you're 1 degree off with hops, and you're gonna. They'll throw something different.
Well, I got an actual story for you, but I'm not going to put it. I'm not going to bring it up here on the show. I'll tell you later. But in any event,
we'll talk about it in the after show.
We'll talk about it in the after show. Yeah.
One of these days, we're going to start recording the after show.
One of these days, we'll record the after show, and we'll put it on we'll get a Patreon account. And we'll put it on Patreon. So if anybody wants to buy the after show, they can do that.
There you go.
In any event,
the after show tends to be a little entertaining because all bets are off.
A little more entertaining, yeah, exactly. So, anyway, so what's coming up as far as brew schedule wise? Anything interesting coming up for the summer, for the fall? Anything you guys been talking about?
Yeah, I mean, we just put out a whole bunch of every week it's like 2 new beers are coming out. So today on Monday they packaged an IPA called Sequoia, which is a really interesting hop blend from the Pacific Northwest.
Nice.
Kind of juicy and dank at the same time.
That's a good combination. It really is.
Yeah. And then they used a foeder for the first time and made a saison, a spelt saison.
Nice.
And that just got packaged also. And then I think Friday we're packaging a wit beer and another IPA. And we did a Mexican lager last week, and we did which we made before, super refreshing, and a blonde ale called Sunnyside Blonde. That's our neighborhood beer, that is also excellent. All the beers are, they're just super clean, and really a pleasure to drink. I'm super proud of Keir. He's killing it. That's
awesome. That's awesome. When you get a guy like that, and you hold him. He's that's awesome. That's awesome. What has it been like? I'd be remiss if I didn't ask this question. What has it been like over the last year and change with COVID and everything as far as sales goes? Because I know you you never stopped working. I know you were out there in
That's rare in the sales
thick of
world,
the shit.
right?
You were working your ass off. So
I got sick right at the beginning. I got COVID.
yeah, you did. Yes, you did.
Back in March of last year, and I called Pat and I was like, I have it, and he was like, just stay home, And I called my daughter's mother, and I was like, come get her, and I just stayed at home for 30 days by myself. And I at first I had a dry cough and a fever, but that only lasted for a couple of days, and I couldn't smell or taste anything. But the rest of the time, I basically did bong hits and drank whiskey, sitting on my couch watching TV.
Hey, they did say that THC is was
It
good
helps.
for.
It
That's
helps.
what I heard. And
It helps
was
a lot of
awesome
things.
because I was-
So you self-medicated properly.
There you
I
go.
did, and it seemed to have worked. But then right after
Apparently
that,
it
I went
did.
back to work, and we were out doing deliveries. We were basically been the three of us from the beginning, just working our asses off, doing like 10 jobs each. We were, but to answer John's question specifically, it's been pivoting left and right based on what's going on in the market, because as you know, like sometimes they opened up a little bit and then they closed up again.
Yep.
It's been crazy, because one minute you're sitting on a ton of draft because all the bars are open, and then you have nowhere to sell it because all the bars are closed.
Yep.
So one of the things we did is we brought a bunch of Pilsner to Van Brunt Stillhouse and distilled it into hand sanitizer, basically gave it away.
There you go.
We still have a lot of it. And then I just personally pivoted to off-prem and trying to sell package.
Sure.
And I had a lot of success, like in supermarkets, where we traditionally would never sell beer because they're so beholden to the mega deals that they get from big wholesalers. And
Absolutely.
I went close by us at first, and I was like, basically getting a lot of no, and I'm like, no, you got to put this in, because it's low risk for you to take a couple cases, just put it in. If it's, I'm like, I guarantee you it'll outsell everything you have on your shelf. I can see what you have here. And if it doesn't, then I'll never bother you again. And they took a chance. And next time they call me and they're like, give me 6 cases.
Sure.
And then it's 10 cases. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And
Oh, yeah.
I can't believe how fast it sells. So hopefully that'll pave the way for a lot of other people in the future.
Sure. And that's exactly what I was
I'm
talking about before,
I'm getting
Dave.
beer in places with planograms that like they don't deviate from the corporate structure, and I'm like, you got to put this in here, and wound up getting them to do it.
Low risk, you get them to take a chance on a couple of cases, and you know as well as anybody, obviously, or better than anybody else, that it's going to work, and they're going to take the 2 cases in, and they're going to sell out in a day, and then they're going to call you up 3 days later and say, I need more. So and they're hesitant about it because they're a little shy at the fact they only took the 2 cases when they were hemming and hawing about doing that in the first place. But it's
that actually happened in one instance. I was in a food town, and I was giving the guy the hard sell, and he just wasn't buying. And then this other dude walked up that I knew from the neighborhood. Yeah. And he was like, yo, what's up, dude? The guy's like, you know this guy? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, all right. He's like, I'll take a couple of cases. And I brought him in, but one of the labels didn't have a UPC on it, which is a big deal for those guys, because there was just an oversight from the artist. So I had them printed on stickers, and I brought them in the next day, and I was going to put them on a can, and the guy couldn't find the cases that I dropped off.
They were gone.
Because they sold them all. Like in one night.
You gotta love it.
I was like, God. He's like, no, dude, I just put stickers on it. I was like, oh, okay.
Well, how about I take these stickers that I just brought in here back, and I'll put them on another 6 cases and send them over tomorrow. How's that sound? There you go. That's awesome.
No, the dude was like, you got any more beer in the truck? I'll buy whatever you got.
There you go. That's funny. That's funny.
Yeah.
So, sir, wrap up in Alewife, if you can, in one paragraph, if you will. What the mission statement? Not that anybody uses that anymore, but what you and Pat and everybody is trying to actually do, and community, obviously, you guys are big in Sunnyside, and then out from there, the beer you're trying to brew, or you are brewing, or whatever, with your brewer now, and it's all aces, and everything is in house, and everything else. Not wrap it all up, but put it all together in a couple of sentences.
Well, he had the tagline that he had come up with was "Taste is life," and there was there was a whole kind of mysterious, like, kind of potion thing about the alewives themselves, who were medicine people.
Sure.
Basically.
Oh yeah.
Beer brewers.
Right.
I thought it was a fish.
Nah, the fish came later.
Yeah.
But that was
Isn't that a band with a PH?
Exactly. That Pat was really into it.
And we're back to bomb hits.
You'd have to ask him that question. I mean, for me personally, like, we've both been.
What does it mean to you? All right, how's that? What does it mean to you? What does Alewife mean to you?
I mean, I love the fact that I'm working with these guys.
Right.
But also, like, there have been breweries that I've hung out in. Look, there's turkeys.
I was
wow.
say, the way you just looked to the side, I expected you to get attacked by something.
Turkeys in Massachusetts. Do they think it's November? That's the question.
Yeah.
No, they know better. In November, they disappear.
There you go.
My favorite breweries that I've been to are the ones where you go there and they put their arms around you, they bring you in, and they make you part of their culture.
Right.
And that's something that, like, I've said from the beginning at Alewife, is that, like, I would like to foster that kind of environment.
Mm-hmm.
There are certain places that you go to where I feel like the people behind the counter in some cases are so sought after that they kind of look down their nose at you. I mean, I've been in places like where this kid that's like half my age is like looking at me like I'm some kind of jerk,
right?
Not knowing anything about me, and I'm like, it really kind of puts a bad taste in you.
Oh, sure. Oh, yeah. No, it definitely does.
There are other places that are like really amazing breweries, and people just bring you in, and they instantly make you part of their culture, and that's what I'm looking to do over there.
And that's an awesome thing to say too. I mean, that's totally. Dave and I can concur as far as some breweries that are like the former, what you said. And it's a shame too, because some of them actually do have decent beer, but they're just not getting the whole culture. They're not getting the whole social aspect and what it means to be, in this industry. It really is sad.
You can have some places have fantastic beer, and if the culture is not there, you're not going to hang out in the brewery.
No.
Conversely, though, there's places that may have middling beer,
mm-hmm.
but the hang is so cool.
I'll go there every day of the week over the other places.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely. So,
but it's kind of short-sighted too, if you think about it, like, because they're hot. What's hot now is not going to be hot tomorrow.
Sure. Yeah. You got
to try harder.
You definitely do, and that goes without saying. It's amazing the way the industry changes on a daily basis. It really is, but and you got to roll with it. You really do. But that's awesome.
New styles nearly weekly. Right?
Absolutely. There's sub-styles and sub-sub-styles and sub-sub-sub-styles that happen on an hourly basis, let alone daily or weekly. It's crazy.
Yeah, dude, I love the guys that I'm working with. That's first and foremost. I've known Pat forever. I love the fact that I'm working with him.
Mm-hmm.
Kier's like an amazing brewer, and he's going to do great things. And it's just, it's it's all bed of roses. Obviously, like,
that's great.
We have our moments.
That's great.
But
Dave. We got to once they're completely open, things are a little bit more settled, hopefully sooner than later. We got to go over, and we'll bring our producers.
Both of them.
And both of them. Well, why not?
That would be great.
And we'll go over to Alewife, and we'll do a Sunnyside, Long Island City, Astoria kind of beer crawl, so to speak.
There's a lot of good liquid over there, man.
There's a lot of good liquid happening over there.
We'll just crawl Queens.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Got to do it. So. Let's switch gears for a second, because I know this, and Dave knows this because I've told him.
Yes.
But you've got a little side hustle going on away from craft beer, so to speak. It's a passion of yours, and we mentioned it before as far as your your booths, beer booths, if you will, at Atlantic City Beer Music Festival. Keying on the music part, and that's DJing. So once you, what's your passion about music? As far as your DJing skills, let's put it that way.
I was in the music business for a long time before I got into the beer thing.
Yeah,
and I was fortunate to go to a lot of really cool places and play with a lot of really cool people.
Sure.
I was at Electric Lady for a while. And then I left there to go to Martin BC's studio in Brooklyn.
Mm-hmm.
I met a bunch of people. I toured with bands. I played on a lot of people's records.
Mm-hmm.
My kid was born, the same as like leaving the bar business. I decided that I was going to hang it up.
Sure.
And get serious about life. And
I concur with that too, because I kind of left what I was doing
for the music, and
I
have a massive vinyl record collection, and I like playing them. And it's fun for me, like sitting in my apartment listening to records by myself, but it's more fun for me forcing other people to listen.
Hey, you know what? The things you spin, and I'll talk about that in a second, you don't have to force anyone to listen to that music. Really quick, as far as the tour of Sunnyside, Long Island City, and Astoria with bringing our two producers, specifically speaking of our two producers, Brian says party, and Matt says deal. So there you go.
Sweet.
Deal.
That sounds
Our
awesome.
etymologist just only came up with one word. Deal. At least he spelled it right.
He spelled it right, and it's perfect. It worked good. So I should probably take that off. There we go. Anyway.
So the thing, like with the records, is that like that AC Beer Fest, it really kind of was like the perfect thing,
right,
for me and Mikey, because like the stuff that I like to play the most is like punk and hardcore, as you know.
Oh yeah.
And like stoner rock and metal, but that fest is really the perfect thing because of the music that John and his partners book, because they do this like kind of pop punk, and the bands are. I've seen like the Descendants play there. I've seen
sure. Oh yeah.
A lot of really, really great bands, but I'll play like punk and hardcore in the early part of the sessions, and we get people over there excited for what's coming up on their stage. And then we transition to Mikey Palms, who owns Southpaw in Brooklyn, and he does this like kind of rap and hip hop thing, and bring down these hype guys from the Bronx and get this wholly other crowd around us.
Right.
That are there that aren't necessarily into the music that they're putting on in the venue, and that's a perfect thing. The Defiant Fest that I did every year with you, I love that. And I was so bummed. In fact, right when the COVID thing happened, I was supposed to spin the St. Patrick's Day parade.
Yep.
Up there with Defiant, and it got canceled, and that was like right when everything went into shutdown.
That was right. Yeah, it was a week before. It was a week before everything got. It was 5 days before, 6 days before. So
and that was intentional because they knew the crowds that would gather, and that it all become super spreader events.
The Defiance is in Pearl River, New York, and it is the second largest St. Patrick's Day parade in the United States.
next to New York
to New York City. Yeah,
it's such a great party too.
Oh well, please.
I have heard
it's amazing.
Stories about what goes on in Pearl River.
That's like not. Yeah, that goes back to what we were talking about before, man. Just good people. It just makes all the difference, you know.
Absolutely, definitely does. So, and of course, your moniker, which I love so much, is, and we'll put it out there, DJ Durty Santa. So it fits you perfectly. So.
I always had my tagline is "Anything can happen."
Anything can happen. Yeah. Exactly.
And in the hip hop world, apparently you're a Crip.
Gotta love it. All right. Why don't we do our top threes? What do you think?
I actually finished mine.
You did. That's a good thing.
Yeah. Anytime I was looking down, I was like,
"Oh, you were drinking your top threes while we were talking?"
No, I was researching. Like, what if I drank? What do I like? But it became pretty easy once I saw the list.
Yeah, no, mine were pretty easy. These are definitely my top three of these. So our top three list tonight, folks, is Top 3 favorite Pilsners. And
That's
we
the
do
top
this,
3 we're doing? Oh, crap. I got to start over again.
Top 3, you know what it is. Stop
Oh,
it.
no, I'm just kidding.
Top 3 favorite Pilsners. We do this in honor of the fact that, Pat and I spoke before, and his favorite style is Pilsner. So we're doing this in honor of his favorite style. So in that case, Mr. Beer Beast, why don't you give us your top 3 first?
Okay, I've been thinking about this since I talked to you earlier today. And, but my go-to beer at Alewife is 1,000 Stars. I drink it all the time, but I'm gonna shout out to other breweries and not just my own, and local ones too.
Sure.
I love the metric Pilsner that Jeff does up at Industrial Arts.
Industrial Arts,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
absolutely.
great.
That's a really tasty one. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I like those kind of like those kind of the German hops, like kind of more floral hops and noble hops. And we have the same ones in the 1,000 Stars, but I really like the way that beer works. And then Fifth Hammer. I mean, those guys, like their Pilsners.
Yeah.
Those guys are just such great brewers over there.
Chris, yes, yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, and then Threes. I'm a big fan of the Vliet Pilsner, but they made a couple other ones that
Yeah,
I think
Vliet is very, very good.
awesome.
Vliet's very good, yeah. Three's, they're making good beer.
And
right
if
now.
I had delved a little further into my research, Vliet may have arrived on my list.
Vliet was up there on mine. Did not make the cut of top 3, but there's a couple on mine that you guys might not have had. So
Probably.
there you go. So.
But the thing with Vliet goes so well with the food they serve there, right?
Oh sure, definitely, definitely, absolutely,
Definitely.
In fact, I think you and I were drinking that a couple of years ago before we went to a Met game. We were drinking a couple of Vliets.
Vliet? No, we weren't on Threes though. We were drinking that.
Oh no, we were somewhere at Fifth Hammer. I meant not Vliet. I meant the other one. Fifth
Yes,
Hammer.
you're at the wrong brewery.
Yes, his second one. He said his number 2.
You're number 2.
I like to
There
keep
you
mine to the ones people can actually get.
Yeah.
Which is kind of my thinking.
John, are you going to go off the rails and stuff that people can't get, or
I'm going to go off the rails and stuff.
I don't know.
I'm going to go off the rails. I'm going to do one that all of us can get here. Well, I can't say all of us because it depends on who's watching and who's listening to the audio podcast, right? Depending on where they're listening, they could probably get all 3 of these. It's possible, but I will start with my number 3. I'm going reverse. 3, 2, 1. My number 3 is one from Green Bay, Wisconsin. It's actually Titletown Brewing. Boathouse. It's a Czech Pilsner. It's 5.5% Czech Pils. It's such a good beer. It's ridiculous.
he's worn their hat a few times.
If you ever, yeah, absolutely. If you ever are out by Wisconsin or have a chance to drink a Boathouse from Titletown, amazing Pilsner. So my number 2 is from the state that Mr. Fondiller is in right now. That would be from Night Shift Brewing in Everett, Massachusetts. That's Pfaffenheck.
So he's in Massachusetts.
Night Shift. He's in Massachusetts.
Oh,
I am. Yeah.
He's in Massachusetts. I thought he was in Massachusetts. Yes, he's in Massachusetts.
Not just from Massachusetts?
Night Shift is from Massachusetts. Yes, it is. Everett, Massachusetts.
Interestingly, John, I think at one point, Smutty was making some of the night shift beers.
Yes, they were. Yes, they were. When Night Shift was over in the old location before they moved over to Sandilly Highway, they were Night Shift was contracting some of their Smutty was contracting some of their beers. But yeah, they were. But yeah, the Pfaffenheck is an amazing German Pilsner, 5.2% German Pilsner.
And I've had that because within 5 miles of where I lived in Rhode Island was I can't remember the name of the place now, but it was. They were pretty much an outlet for Night Shift beers. I wish I remember the name of the place now. Anyway, you're number 1, John.
There you go. And there's a couple of honorable mentions. I mean, the metric pills and a few that Pat had said were definitely honorable mentions. I got it. This is my way, to pull a Dave on you, if you will. Bushberg's a great beer.
Oh,
too,
I think you started that.
I did. Maybe I did.
You started doing that.
Bushberg's a great beer too. Jesse's making it in Interborough. It's a good Pilsner, and that too. I just wanted to throw that in there. But my number 1, and it kind of leads me into my number 1 too, and I'm sure Dave will concur. In fact, it might even be on his list. And I've certainly been drinking enough of it lately, and it's my go-to Pilsner right now. And again, I won't say the first name, but from Carton Brewing is Whip. It's a 5% pills. Carton Brewing in the Atlantic Highlands. That's been my go-to pills for quite a bit now. So there's my list. So Boathouse from.
Got out.
Yeah, definitely do it. Boathouse from Titletown in Green Bay, Pfaff and Heck from Night Shift in Everett, Massachusetts, and Whip from Carton Brewing in New Jersey.
Am I wrong to say that that other half did a collab with Roadhouse? Let's see that.
It sounds familiar. Yeah, yeah. I think you might be right. We'll have to check into that.
One of our producers will look into that for us.
Cool.
By the way, really quick, Brian just said agree on Fifth Hammer with what you said before, Pat.
Yum.
And Gene actually just joined the party and said, "Yo, Patrick Fondiller."
What's up, Gene Lynch? How you doing, buddy?
There you go. And all right, what's yours, Dave?
So I'm actually going to make no bones about it. I'm starting with number 4.
Number 4 of your top 3 list. There you go.
Number 4 on my top 3 list.
There you go.
Victory Prima Pills.
Fair enough.
Love that one.
Obvious,
That's a great beer. That's my number 4. Didn't quite make the top 3 list. Number 3 on there, however, is Pivo Pills from Firestone Walker. That's a really, really nice one.
That's tasty beer.
Number 2, and it's just one of the most appropriately named beers out there on the market, the Crisp from 6 Point.
Mm-hmm.
That's just a beautiful Pilsner. Love how clean, love how crisp that is. But my favorite, it's just, I don't know what it is about it. It may be those floral hops that Pat talked about earlier and the way they really pop in this one. And that's Von Pilsner. Von Pilsner by Crooked Stave. That's hands down probably my favorite Pilsner out there.
That I have to admit, I've never had it, so I can't concur with you or not. But I've had plenty of Crooked Stave. I've never had their Pilsner.
Yeah, because Crooked Stave,
I get my hand on Crooked Stave, it's not Pilsners that I'm looking at.
You're grabbing a sour.
You think of Crooked Stave, you don't think of Pilsner.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, this one, I don't know what possessed me to pick it up, but I did, and I was very, very happy that I did.
That's awesome.
I got to look for that one. I've never had it either. I thought you were going to say Von Trapp, which...
That's a good one.
I know. Yeah. They're great.
Von
There's so many
good
ones.
There's
really good one.
There's really, I mean, yeah. There's. It's hard to do a top 3 when it comes to top 3 favorite any style, because there's so many that not only that are good that we've had, and how do you narrow it down? I mean,
this is the other thing that really kind of surprises me. Pat's in Massachusetts. John, you and I have both been there. None of us mentioned a Jack Savvy.
True story.
Another great brewery.
All they brew is lagers. Yeah. So,
lagers and Pilsners, right?
Yeah. And
what they
here's
call
another
workforce.
I'll throw another one at you. Up in Vermont, Green State Lager from Zero Gravity. Great pills.
Another great one.
Yep. So,
why don't we bother with top 3s? We normally get about 20 out.
We usually do. But here's the thing, though. If we say top 10, we're going to get 30. So
this is true.
Top 3.
So start the bar low and let's add on a little bit.
Move it from there. Exactly. So there you go. Anything you want to say, or any events coming up for that you're going to be at as far as Alewife goes, whether it's in New York or Massachusetts or any otherwise or whatever? Because events, obviously, we know have started back up again as things loosen up here. And anything happening on that front?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what we're going to commit to at this point.
Right.
But we are doing a couple of things at the brewery regularly. We're doing a comedy show on Monday nights.
That's awesome.
Outside, and then we have this really awesome jazz band. It's like kind of a New Orleans style brass street band called Lift Off Brass. They come every Thursday night, and we have like a empanada guy that makes these really amazing empanadas.
Thursday nights, you say?
Yeah, Thursday night.
Brian and Matt, if you're still listening, Thursday night might be the night we need to do this particular tour.
100%. Yeah.
Because empanadas and New Orleans style jazz.
Empanadas, a Queens beer crawl, empanadas, and New Orleans jazz might be the deciding factor on this. Exactly.
Yeah, right. Right now we're just scrounging for what we can get because we don't have a budget for music yet, but we will when we open up inside. We're planning on having a DJ booth and a stage and doing some regular stuff. So
that's awesome. All right, we got one more comment here before we sign off. Hold on, let's see what it is. Brian said oak for. Oh, he gave us his top 3 list. There we go. Oak fermented Pilsner by OEC. Brian is a big, and I'll say it. Brian is a big OEC whore.
He is.
We know he is. All right. Mary from Hill Farmstead, and
I've met her.
Yeah, well, okay. And
You have a
1933.
picture of her you like to pop
I
up.
do. I'm not now. No, not later. But and 1933 Pilsner from Single Cut. Good list.
Well,
1, 2,
Brian
3.
bringing the cannons to the knife fight.
There you go.
Yeah, it's
There
like
you go.
Brian went whale.
That's his 1, 2, and 3 in that order. So OEC is first, Hill Farmstead's 2, Single Cut's 3, and there he said it like that. And then Matt said his is Pilsner Urquell, actual Czech bar, which I do have to concur with him. Czech
That's
bar, actual
fantastic
Czech
beer.
bar from Budvar, is an actually really, really tasty. And post ship from Jack's Abbey. There you go.
The thing I'll say, the only reason the Pilsner Urquell did not make my list is having been in the, and this is going to sound so damn snobby and erudite, but I'm going to say it anyway.
Sure.
Having been in the craft beer world as long as I have, Pilsner Urquell, before the wall fell, before the communist bloc fell, and they were able to upgrade their equipment to stainless, it changed. To me, it kind of ripped the heart out of the beer. Their old cask, their old wooden casks, delivered something into that
Sure, because
beer.
we're 9,000 years old. That's why
Yes.
it was something else.
And it's a shame because Pilsner Urquell, it's still a great beer. Don't get me wrong. This is still a great beer. But it used to be a very, very special beer because of the old equipment they were brewing in and fermenting in.
Brian agrees with you. And Matt also said Palatine Pils from Suarez is damn good, too. So
God,
that's-
I read that as
I was going to bring
Palpatine.
up Suarez because their pilsners are amazing. But
They
I
really
love
are.
that brewery, and it's not far from where I live too. It's about an hour.
Okay.
But
So now we're up to 30 Pilsners.
we're I think it's 26, actually.
26? Okay.
We've
We're not quite to
mentioned-
30 yet.
So we should have had 9. We have 26. So that's not bad. All
Oh,
right.
God, then you got to go to Full Sail. One of the OGs.
That's true. You definitely do. And Brian says he agrees with Matt. Absolutely. Oh, he agreed with Brian agreed. Brian didn't agree with you on Pilsner Urquell. He agreed with Matt on Suarez.
Oh, I thought he was agreeing with both of us, and he was just being very agreeable.
No. He agreed with Matt.
I
agree with
thought
his
the
cohort,
Smutty,
not us.
like that Wunderbar Pilsner that Smutty does make was amazing.
You
That
know
was
what?
a good- that was a damn good Pilsner.
Wunderbar Pils was actually pretty good. It was actually pretty good.
And it had
Yeah.
a great label.
You know what? I mean, there was we were going to talk about this too. There's a number of smutty beers that are always like Old Brown Dog. How can you
Old Brown
beat Old
Dog
Brown
was
Dog?
one of my favorites.
know.
Older Brown Dog.
Older Brown Dog, yeah.
That was a special beer.
And a lot of the Smut Labs,
Smut Labs.
concoctions were pretty.
Every
good.
now and then you get a Smut Lab and go, what the fuck were they thinking? but for the most part, those things were a lot of fun.
Right. Well, I'll tell you.
I
I'll
was
tell
just
you.
up there a couple of weeks ago hanging out with Charlie.
Oh, you went up?
And they got a brew pub in Dover now, Smart Lab.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
There's another one from Matt. He says Urban Chestnut
Stammtisch.
Stamtich is in the conversation as well. All right, we're up to 27. So there you go.
This could go on forever.
So we've tripled our all right. On that note, all right. Pat, don't go anywhere. We're gonna end the show. Stick around for a second. We'll talk to you afterwards. Don't hang up. We really appreciate you coming on.
Absolutely.
We'll end it right here. All right, we'll wrap the show up at that note for today. We want to
Here
thank
comes
everybody.
the outro.
Absolutely. We want to thank everybody for watching. And for those of you just listening to the audio podcast, thanks for listening. Don't forget to visit our website, www.lagerroom.com. That's LAGERROOM.com. And please remember, like us and follow us on all of our social media. That's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and our YouTube channel. All of them are at The Lager Room. Remember, we go live with the video podcast on both Facebook and YouTube every Tuesday night at 6:30.
Except for next week.
Except for next week. And I will tell you that in a second. Thank you for bringing that up. For those of you that want to just listen to the audio podcast, you can do so on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, and Stitcher. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to one or more of those feeds, and you will never miss a show. Again, thanks for following along with us. Have a wonderful rest of your week. Pat, Beer Beast, Mr. Fondiller, DJ Durty Santa, all of those nom de plumes. Thank you for coming on the show with us. We really appreciate it. It's been awesome. You are
Thanks for having me.
absolutely. We love it. It's been great. As far as next week goes, as Dave was saying, we are going to be doing the show next week on Thursday night instead of Tuesday night. It's all Dave's fault. Blame him. He's going to be in Texas until Wednesday night.
Traveling for work.
And it's for work, and he's not going to be able to do the Tuesday. So we'll have to do Thursday night next
So I
week.
may have to do a live Instagram from one of the breweries that I plan on visiting.
So he's going to do that as well. So there'll be some interesting things popping up next week. But the show will actually be on Thursday night. So look forward to that. And once again, Pat, thanks for coming on. We will talk to everybody soon. Have a great rest of your week, great weekend, and we'll talk to you soon, guys. Take care. Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers, fellas.
They found him face down in his waffles, maple syrup dripping from his fake robe. Who did he see when he heard who was there? Now it seems that he shit out of love.